Now, breaking news from NBC4.
You are unable to reach a verdict on this matter. The court accepts this conclusion and finds that there is no probability of the jury agreeing. You are hereby excused from further jury service on this matter.
Judge David Young declaring a mistrial in the murder case of Jason Meade.
The former deputy killed Casey Goodson Jr. in December of 2020.
The jury returned deadlocked after 3 days of deliberations, and we have team coverage of today's decision.
NBC4's Anna Hoffman has been in the courtroom for the entirety of this trial. Anna, we'll start with you on the reaction when the mistrial was announced.
Jen and Jared, Jason Meade's face looked disappointed when the judge announced the mistrial. It was the end of an at times confusing day in the courtroom, with proceedings ending around 2:30 this afternoon. Defense attorney Mark Collins says this is all just a part of the process. Take a look at your screen. This was Jason Meade's reaction to the judge's decision. Everyone in the courtroom looked a little indifferent, not sure what to think because there was no definitive answer. We did not have the chance to talk to Meade, but Collins says he is thankful to the jury for approaching this with fairness and giving it their all. Remember, this jury has sat through days of testimony and 3 days of deliberations, having to restart 3 times due to alternate jurors stepping in. Right before the judge declared the mistrial, he read a note from the jury saying, "We cannot come to a unanimous decision on all 3 charges." Collins says he has dealt with a mistrial before and knows this was a difficult task.
I couldn't have much more respect for the jurors and the effort that they gave. I think you guys could see the emotions on them and the frustration and stuff, and so these are difficult things. But other than that, I really don't know much more than you guys.
To add to the confusion, the judge originally announced a mistrial, then resented that earlier this morning. Collins says he's not thinking too much into this, although he's never seen that before because this is a complex case. Meade did have family members in the courtroom every day. I watched some of them shake hands with the defense team at the end. I also reached out to Special Prosecutor Tim Merkel to see any information about the retrial. He says they're reassessing their options and have no further comment at this time. Local for you at the Franklin County Courthouse, I'm Anna Hoffman, NBC4.
All right, Anna, thank you. And while the defense may be breathing a sigh of relief, the family of Casey Goodson Jr. a bit emotional afterward.
Certainly. NBC4's Eric Halperin spoke with the family's attorney right afterward. What are they saying, Eric, as the future of this now is very unclear?
Jared and Jen, Goodson's mother and attorney Sean Walton have been here for every day of this trial, and they were here for the last few days as deliberations were going on. Shortly after the mistrial was declared, the family left the courtroom led by Tamala Payne, Casey's mother. Some were visibly upset with what went on today. After they left, I got to speak with Walton. He said several times a mistrial does not mean that Jason Meade was acquitted. He pointed to the fact that this jury was not in agreement, saying that means at least part of the jury felt Meade was guilty. He also thanked the jury on behalf of the family and says this means the family's long journey continues.
You know, Tamala said to me this week, when do we get a break? And here we are, and they still don't get a break because they have to keep fighting, you know, and it's a shame that that this has taken place, but what gives me hope is that this has all been a very public trial.
And as we've heard, the special prosecutors will decide to retry the case or not. Walton says he thinks the special prosecutors did a good job and hopes that they do decide to retry. Local for you, I'm Eric Halperin, NBC4.
Eric, thank you. NBC4 anchor Colleen Marshall is our resident attorney, and she joins us now to provide some expertise on this subject. Let's start with what happened this morning. 11:20 a.m., Judge Young declared a mistrial. 2 minutes later, set it aside, called the jury back to deliberation. You ever heard of that happening before?
It's highly unusual. I've been doing trials for 45 years, covering them as a reporter, and I am an attorney. I've never seen anything quite like it. But what happened was he thought there was a mistrial, that they had reached an impasse, and then he was given a jury question when they said to him, well, can we find him guilty on one of these charges and not guilty on the other? And of course, his answer was no. If he was justified or not justified, you have to decide, universally. So he did not. So he brought them all back together and thought, well, they're still questioning it. We're going to set aside the mistrial and send them back behind closed doors.
And so something else, Colleen, Judge Young multiple times read the Howard charge after the jury returned, saying that they were split. So I know you brought this up in the newsroom a couple of times. Can you kind of explain what that is?
Yeah, it's known sometimes as an Allen charge, especially in federal court. And it basically is the instruction where they come to the judge and say, we are at an impasse. Well, they've had all this time and energy on this case, and no one wants it to end this way, neither side. So what he says to them basically is, in a set of specific instructions, I want you to go back, to give it your best, to keep in your mind that if you can't reach agreement, 12 other men and women will have to come together to do this. Use your conscience. Very controversial, though. Some states don't allow it right now because they believe when you give them the Howard or the Allen charge, then you're putting undue pressure on the people who are in the minority. And the jurors are all exhausted. Remember what it's like for them. They've been arguing over this case for days. They've had to restart 3 times. And so it's controversial to do it, but he was really saying, do your best. They did their best, and they could not come to an agreement.
Well,